Okay, then let's start slowly. Last people joining. It's good to see that we have a full room here. Thanks for that. So this means, on the one hand side, maybe you are interested in the cybersecurity skill gap, or you didn't find another session, and both is fine. The most important thing is that you are here. Thorsten and myself, we are working for the IT security department at SAP, and you can imagine also SAP, like any other company, has sometimes a little bit of challenge to hire the right colleagues, or to find the right colleagues to cover all the security challenges in the world, right? And that's the reason why we also had a deeper look into it. What does it mean? Why we have these challenges, I would say. And on the one hand side, it's clear. The threat landscape is increasing. Attackers getting more and more sophisticated, more and more active. But on the other hand side, we also think that companies can do better if they hire security talents or looking for security talents. And that's the reason for our session. We analyzed this. We have a kind of scientific research behind it, and we will go through it. And if you have questions, we can also discuss them at the end of the session. We are here now for 2 or 3 days, and we also participated in a lot of sessions, and we heard a lot topics or sessions or introductions about AI, machine learning, cloud security, cyber mesh, all these super new topics. And in the end, for sure, I also think they are important, but they will not do our work for us. They will not solve our challenges. They will not solve our work. That's it, what humans have to do. And so I think the cybersecurity skills are more important than ever, to build on them, to ensure that they are well educated, and also to get and retain them in a company. So we will not go detailed into AI topics or something like this. I think there are enough other sessions on this event here. Good. So what we will do, so the problem statement, I lined it out a little bit already, but I think it's more or less clear. What is the cybersecurity skill gap, why it's important, and so on. Why we have to deal with it. Then the second point, we will focus on job ads, because this is something a company can influence. The job ads, the job postings, also the interviews, how hiring managers select. Are they really selecting the candidates they are looking for? Are the job ad reflecting that, and so on? And last but not least, point 4 and agenda point 5. What are our findings out of that? How can we do better as a company, as a security community, to finding the talents, to hire them, and to make them also motivated and aware of the cybersecurity workforce, so to say. Good. Let's start with the skill gap. Imagine when I'm looking here to the audience, I see a lot of experts. I mean, all of you look super fresh, super young. That's good. But I think for all of us can think about when we graduated from university. It's maybe a few years back, but we graduated from informatics, from business informatics, maybe also some of us from cybersecurity already, or mathematics or whatever. But all of us were somehow motivated. We would like to challenge our first job and say, okay, we will do it. We are the kings. We know that we know nothing, so to say, from an operational perspective. But from a study perspective, we were well educated and also prepared to step into our first role. But now imagine you are this young student and looking for your first cybersecurity job. And you will do so, and you find some job descriptions. You find a lot of them. So the first one, what you will find, for example, there are 2 entry positions, by the way. So there are 2 jobs, 2 entry positions looking for cyber talents. The first position asks for 12-year plus experience in Kubernetes. And so you are young, you are motivated, you are Googling it, you are looking for it, and you find out that Kubernetes was invented in 2014. So you think, okay, how should this work? I'm not sure, maybe I'm too young, too old, whatever. Okay, this is not working, so we don't have to discuss this. The second one, on the right side, you see required qualifications and skill. 5 years plus for Java development, JavaScript web development, Java.NET server side, HTML5, CSS, REST API, web services. I mean, we are talking about an entry position, a newcomer, a motivated person who is maybe 20, 21 years old, who graduated a few weeks ago from university. What does this make? Yeah? What does this make with you? Yeah? Will you, as a newcomer, apply for these jobs? Who is super motivated and say, I will apply, I don't care about the requirements? Maybe raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's not so much. We have to agree, right?
So what we did is what you usually do if you are stuck on a problem or you're facing a problem. The first thing you're doing nowadays, you're using AI. So what we did is we asked AI, or ChatGPT to be more precise, please write us a job ad for a junior position in cybersecurity. And what do we see here? Well, I think it starts okay with a bachelor's degree. Okay, that's doable. However, also in our data sets nowadays, we see that also for a junior or starting position right after the university, AI systems recommend at least 2 years of experience, which is, if you're going to a starter position, again, something you usually do not have. And also, if you're looking at the fourth point from up there, you see that also AI asks for some knowledge in cybersecurity frameworks or regulation frameworks, like, for example, HIPAA, which is super specialized. And if you are graduating from a high school and you're reading those requirements, I mean, these are really scaring. So what we have seen at the beginning is, okay, companies do really bad. So they are writing really high recommendations on the one hand side. But we have also seen that AI is not really doing it so much better. So also here the barriers are quite high. And the risk is definitely there that people are seeing that and saying, okay, these barriers are too high for me to apply. And this is where our research starts in.
So we looked, is it really a problem? Is it really a problem, or is this just one kind of example? And I think all of you know more or less those figures, right? So when we look to the bottom right, growing cybersecurity skill gap, this was one of the most, I call it famous studies in the last couple of months, because when we are looking back, in the last year, the skill gap raised by 26% to 3.4 million open positions, so to say. So, and this is also, and this can be forecasted also for this year and for the next year. When we look to the top right, we see that also the companies have for sure difficulties, because they were asked, many companies were asked, do you have really the problems? And they said, we have extremely problems, or at least somewhat difficulties to hire the right talents. So there's really data under it. It's not just a kind of statement what we are doing here. But the more important question is this really a big problem for companies, or can they say, okay, we can deal with it. We can somehow deal with it. When we look to the top left, what does it mean for companies? The company said, okay, because I do not have the right talents, the right workforce, my risk is increasing constantly. Because you do not have the right threat modelers, for example, to take care about new developments. You do not have the incident responders who are fast, who get to the point. You do not have the risk managers who can ensure a kind of aligned risk situation in the company. And so in the end, there's a significant increase of organizations which say, we have a higher risk due to this topic, and for sure this is also a company threat. But from my perspective, what is the most important topic is the picture on the bottom left, because the impact to the workforce which is existing in the company. What does it mean for them? For sure, they said, okay, you have to do the work somehow. This leads to, when you see this on the left side with 62%, to an increased workload. And all of us know that you can manage it somehow, maybe, but in the end it will also lead to some burnouts and attrition rates. So the people will leave the company, and you have even less colleagues who are dealing with the topic. And then, and I think when we come together next or over next year, the third point, no technology deep dives, this will move to the left from my perspective, because no security deep dives means that you as a company try to solve or to fix your problems. You are buying technology, but the people do not have time to really deep dive into the technology, really to find out what the technology does, how it works, how you can use it for many different use cases. You're just buying the tools, then you have 500,000 tools in the company. Nobody can administrate them in a really good way. All the people know how to click 5 buttons, and then this works for their use case, but they are so much more powerful, and this will increase the complexity by far. So this is really a problem and really a challenge. And that's also the reason why we should really focus on getting the right talents into our companies and also retaining them.
So what we have seen, maybe to again summarize that already a bit, is we have seen that there are out there some job ads which probably hinders or scares applicants from applying to a position. And as Peter already showed, we can actually not afford as our company that people are not applying to our company. So the hypothesis we came up was, do we scare really people away from our job ads? From a feeling, we would say yes. And also, if we're doing a small survey inside here, only a few people raised their hands and said, yeah, I would apply for the job position which was written out there. And only really less people said, really much people said they would not apply. So what we did is we made it really scientifically. So what we did is we investigated whether job ads actually hindering people from applying. Now, the big problem we had with that is, how do you find someone, how to survey one who's not applying to your company? So usually you do not know who did not apply to your company. And we actually wanted to solve that problem. We wanted to find those people who did not apply to our company and wanted to interview them and wanted to know why they did not apply. And therefore, we developed a special methodology. So what we did is we did the following. First, we went into our job database system, which probably every bigger company has. So what we did is we selected randomly 12 job ads from our job database, which were selected to junior positions. And I will show them later on in detail, or a bit more detail, but you can see them already in the right-hand side. We selected them randomly from our security database or from our job ad database. And moreover, we reached out to our security junior communities, as well as company internal, as well as also external, and ask for voluntary participants. So we asked, we would like to do a security experiment, would you like to join? And at the end, we had 10 talents, which looked pretty good from a security perspective from our side, and we provided them the job ads we selected randomly from our job database and asked them, would you apply to that job or not? So this is the first question we asked them. Now, they had 5 possibilities. They could say, yes, I would apply to that job. I probably would apply, not sure, probably not apply, or not apply. If they said they would not or probably not apply, we asked them, why would you not apply? And therefore, we identified 6 dimensions, which Peter will say later on a bit more information about that dimensions. So we asked him, why would you not apply? Is it because the degree mentioned in that job ad is too high, it's not fitting your degree? Is it because the focus in the job ad is not reflecting your studies? So that means, for example, you studied biology and the job ad is asking for cybersecurity, for example. So the experience is not met. So do you have less experience than required in the job ad? Do you have not the needed certificates in that job ad? Do you not speak the language of the needed skills? Or do you not have the needed development skills as mentioned in the job ad? And also we asked, what from all the reasons you could select from these 6 reasons is the main reason which hinders you from applying to that job ad? And now a question to the round. What do you think were the 2 topmost reasons named for not applying? Yeah? Okay. Other opinions?
Certificates.
And?
Development.
Okay. So we both were 50% correct. So what we in the end have seen is the following picture. First of all, as I said, we had 12 job ads and 10 people ask, or 10 candidates ask, which means at the end we had 120 possible applicants. These were our starting point. And what we have seen, first of all, and this was really shocking me, I would say, is that 82% did say they would not apply to a job there. That means 2/3 of our candidates did say they would not apply to a job ad presented to them, which is already really, really high. And then asked for the reasons, they named on the one hand side experience as one of the reasons why they would not apply as a main reason, and on the other hand side they named certifications as the main reason why they would not apply. And with that, we went further and we're thinking, okay, I mean, that is now interesting that a lot of people did not apply to a job ad, so 82 in the cases did not apply to a job ad, But the question which definitely comes up at the beginning is that actually a problem? I mean, with a job ad, your aim is to get the right persons. Maybe those 82 persons who did not apply, or those 82 cases, were actually not the right cases. So it was intended that they are not applying. This is something we yet did not know. So that was something we needed to investigate, whether the people who not applied would be actually the better fit for a position than the ones actually applying for it. And with that, Peter will continue.
So we look now to the candidate's perspective, because we asked them, would you apply or would you not apply? But also looking now to the manager's perspective. Do the job ads really reflect the expectations from the manager, what they are looking for in the terms of candidates they would like to have in their company? So coming back to your imagination, now you are not anymore the student, you were years ago, now you are the hiring manager. And not sure who of you are done interviews with job applicants, who also did some hiring decisions maybe. But imagine you are now this hiring manager, your headcount is approved, you are super happy because you have thousands of challenges to solve. You can now look for a new joiner, a new candidate, a young talent, so to say, to join your team in cybersecurity. So you draft your job description, you try to do your best for sure, define the task, define some requirements you have in mind, you push it to the job world, and you wait until the candidates apply. Then the applications come in, and this is already a good sign, so that whatever 10, 20, 30 applicants apply to your job, and now you have the challenge to select them. And I think if we asked 10 managers how to select applicants, we get 10 answers. So what is the most important topic when you have a CV in front of you, not knowing the person by heart, so to say, or not knowing in person, but what is the main focus or the main topic you are focusing it, to deciding, yes, this can be potentially a candidate or no? Any ideas? What is your major point?
Ability to learn.
Ability to learn. How did you get this information out of a CV?
Question in the interview.
Exactly. That's a fair point, The question in the interview. Anything what comes into the other colleagues' mind here, what information is in the CV,
I think if they have additional interests, showing that they're very curious and they like to approach other interests would be a good way to evaluate that.
Absolutely,
To his point, hobbies. What kind of hobbies do they have? Like, are they actively in the community, whatever community it is, looking for answers?
Okay, one last point.
Demonstrated ability through an internship.
Fair point, absolutely. This is something what you can see, something or has something done, he or she an internship in another area or in a specific area, whatever. Ability to learn, we had discussed,
If they have studied in another country.
Okay, other country was mentioned here in the front row, going to another country, are they mobile to move, so to say? A lot of topics you can find in the CV, that's true, So, looking to science, Science says us these 6 hard facts, and we are not talking about ability to learn, and then I would fully agree to that, that's a super major important topic. But science says us these 6 areas or components are relevant, or when managers decide, if a candidate gets invited to a job decision, to a potential job. Graduation, for sure, what did you study? Work experience, we also saw that in the former slide. Do you have certifications? Which language do you talk? Do you have development skills? And also the area of study, is it informatics, cybersecurity, business informatics, biology informatics, or law, whatever. And again, I fully agree here that for sure the soft factors, like ability to learn, how do you behave in a team, how interested are you in learning some new stuff, these are all super important points, but it's often something what you cannot get out of a CV in the first round. So we looked a little bit deeper into that, because this is only the science part. Does this also reflect the operational work, so to say, what all the managers do day by day? So for this, we had a kind of 4-step approach, how to find that out. And the first step is really crucial to understand, because Thorsten mentioned already we had 10 candidates, where a majority of them said we would not apply. So we have a lot of real persons who say we will not apply to those jobs. what we did now, we created some fake resumes, some fake CVs, which reflects the requirements from the job ads in a very good way, in a very good fit. Not 100% fit, but in a very good fit. And these so-called fake CVs or fake resumes, they were packed together with real CVs from the real persons who will not apply or who already confirmed that they will not apply, were packed together in a CV pack, and this was sent to the managers, to the hiring managers. So each hiring manager receives a pack of 5 CVs, 5 resumes, where 2 out of the resumes were real candidates, which already said we will not apply to that position, and 3 candidates were fake resumes. They were not existing, but the manager did not know that. So he or she thinks, I get 5 CVs and I can select the best fit out of it. Then in the third step, we performed some interviews with the hiring managers because we sent it over and said, here are the CVs, please let's discuss it. Where do you select and why do you select and so on. And for sure, last but not least, we analyze the results, what comes out of it. But to understand this better, I will go through step by step in a few seconds. Starting with the number 1, so that you get an understanding how we defined those fake resumes or these fictitious persons. So you see here also on the top, graduation, work experience, certification, language, so the different hard facts, what we mentioned a few seconds ago. And we said, okay, now let's create these fake persons by creating different maturity levels. So for example, you can have a graduation from high school, but you can also have a PhD. And so we created 7 different persons or personas, which are not really existing, but are a really good fit to the job descriptions the managers are asking for. Then for sure we send it, as said, this pack of the resumes to the managers. We ask them to have a kind of interview with them, to have a research, and we would like to get their opinions, which candidates they select and why. Then we had these interviews. We had also a kind of structured questionnaire that we ensure that all interviews went in the same way. They were also recorded by MS Teams, so that we were able to do a qualitative analysis afterwards. And this was exactly what we did. So after these interviews, after we interview all the managers, discuss with them which candidates they select and which they rejected and for what reasons they rejected and so on, we come up with 2 analyses. First, a quantitative analysis to really see which candidate was invited and which not, which was declined and so on, so from a number perspective. But also very important or very interesting, the qualitative analysis. Why did the manager did that decision? So, and now it's really the question, did the hiring managers hire those persons or invite those persons for a job interview? That's the first step. They ask for, or they would like to have, or they addressed in their job description.
So to continue and also to provide the findings and also to again mention what Peter said, from the finding perspective, what we have seen now, we sent it the hiring managers CVs which were more or less reflecting the requirements from their job ad. And we sent them CVs from people who did not say, or who said, I would not apply to a specific job you are sending out. And now the hiring manager were asked to select candidates they would like to invite to an interview. And from a finding perspective, it would be super ridiculous or crazy to see now if we at the end see that hiring managers are selecting actually those candidates they scared away. That would be a really crazy finding. Is it clear? Okay, so let's have a look what we have actually seen. So this is a graphic, and it needs a bit explanation because this is what we did for all of these 12 job ads we sent it out. So we created this kind of spider matrix, and I will go through it in detail and explain you what you actually see on that graphic. So the first thing you see is those yellow or those green lines. Those reflect the CV of the person who got selected by the hiring manager. So in the example 1, you see that one person from that hiring manager got selected. In example 2, and in the above you see also the job description which we are talking about, you see the candidate profiles from the candidate which were selected from the second second job ad. So the first hiring manager only selected 1 out of 5 persons which were presented to him or her, and the second hiring manager selected 2 persons out of 5. So you additionally see this purple line here. That purple line reflects the quantitative representation of the job ad. So we went through the job ad and we looked at the job ad, okay, what do they actually require? And then we presented it or put it together into that graph. So what you at the end see is the purple line, which is what the hiring manager were looking for based on their job ad. And you see this yellow or this green line, the candidates they actually picked. Now, from an expectation management point of view, I would expect that the persons picked are somehow fitting to the purple line. So somehow I would expect that the yellow or the green line is around the purple line. This is what I would expect, because then that would mean the hiring manager exactly select those persons they are actually looking for in a CV, in a job ad. Now, what do we see actually here? I mean, we do see on the left-hand side, all points are more or less overfitting. So that means that the hiring manager there selected a candidate which is actually more qualified than he's looking for, which is at the end not bad, because that means he had such a choice to do, or she had such a choice to do, which is good. However, we've all the time seen one outlier, and you see that outlier probably also there. It's the type of certificates. We've seen entry positions where hiring manager asks for CISSP certificates, which means you have 5 years at least to be in this field, and this is not possible for an entry position. And we have seen that a few times. So those both are reflecting actually hiring managers asking for CISSPs in job ads, which is, yeah, crazy. However, the thing is now, what to do with that? And yeah, we looked at it more details. We confronted the hiring managers actually with that finding, because we were so surprised actually by that outliers. We were surprised that we see actually this picture, and we see that especially the certification area is not matching there. And what we did is we went in the interviews in the qualitative section to the hiring managers and asked them, one moment please, why are you selecting here a candidate which is definitely not reflecting your certification requirements, even though you wrote in your job ad that you are looking for someone who has a CISSP or whatever? And what do you think what they said? Any ideas? Sorry? Here are only a few statements of what they said. And I think the summary, what we have seen there is that they somehow added it. I mean, the most crazy interview I had was one person who said, yeah, I was not sure what to add, so I added a CV or a certification to it. So what we have seen is, most of the time the people were even not aware of what certificates actually mean and how much effort it means on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, we have seen that they are the second most reason why people are scared away from applying. So this was a really, really crazy scene. However, still not a problem. Yes?
Beyond even the certifications, then are they not understanding even a lot of the other technical requirements that they're asking for?
Yeah.
I mean, even in my own job search, you know, half the time I've applied for, I learned probably 5 years in, yeah, apply for stuff that you don't have the asked for experience, because their expectations, there's a disconnect between the hiring managers.
I come to that, okay, one second, okay? Okay, sure. We come to it. so what we have seen, okay, the hiring managers selected candidates which were not really, at least in the point of certificate, not reflecting their job ad. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if those candidates they selected were the fake CVs, because then they were not scared away. The only problem is now if those candidates selected would be actually the real persons, because that means they scared them away due to certificate requirements or due to experience requirements. So what now should not happen at all is that the hiring managers selecting the real CVs. Now, before I come to the solution, it's a best guess now. What do you guess how often at least one real CV from the 12 interviews we did was selected? A real CV from the 12 interviews we did. That should not happen. How often do you think it did happen? The green ones are the real CVs, and the clear ones are the fake CVs. As you can see, only one time it did not happen. So 11 out of 12 times, at least one real CV was picked, and 4 times only the real CV were picked. So exactly those persons, they actually scared away with their job descriptions, which is exactly this ridiculous result I wouldn't expect at the beginning.
You know, but there's an issue here whether the certification is preferred or required.
Mhm.
A lot of times they put certifications as preferred.
Yep.
And then the candidate can ignore them. Say, what's preferred? I don't have it. But
That's something we will come to, okay?
I was going to say, did you put it in as a requirement or a preference?
It was required. So that was a requirement here.
Yeah.
So you should hold at least, and then they named certificates here. So that was always requirement. Yeah, we did not look for optional requests. So this is something I should definitely mention. Yes, yes. So let's have a summary and sum it up.
Exactly, yeah. So what to do with that now? I mean, we saw it, yeah. The learning is clear, yeah. We have to do something with job descriptions, yeah. We cannot think that these are kind of automatic process, yeah, which works well. We have to take time to look into that. And what we learned out of that, and you mentioned already one point, yeah, which we already see in some job descriptions. Yeah, we do not say that this is never happening, yeah, but this is an important topic, yeah, to make yourself aware as a hiring manager. List optional skills, yeah, and maybe ourselves, yeah, or experienced guys will not look at into the requirements and say, okay, I'm working here for 20 years, I'm super great, I do not care what's in the job requirement, yeah. But new joiners do, yeah. The majority of them do, yeah. The young talents, they do care, yeah, what is a requirement, what is an optional requirement, and what is a mandatory requirement, yeah. So list optional skills is really a learning. This should be in every job ad, yeah, and this is easy to do, right? Second learning, define X out of Y skills. Yeah? You can say, okay, I have 10 skills. Yeah? What needs to be accomplished? Yeah? You have to configure firewalls. You have to develop Java. You have to do incident response. Blah blah blah. Yeah? But at least you should be able to comply with 3 out of these 10 skills. Yeah? And this also gives them some self-confidence and say, okay, I can do that. Yeah? And I can maybe learn the other ones. And for us, the most important topic is the right thing, yeah? Because it fits to the motivation of new joiners. Show development perspective. Yeah? You can write a job description and say, okay, you have to be the super senior expert in this field. But we would like to develop you into this role. Yeah? We help you to grow, yeah? And we help you to learn new stuff. And this development perspective, this is also exactly what our new colleagues, our young colleagues ask for. Yeah? How can I develop in a company? Yeah? What do you see in 3 to 5 years, yeah, for my job? And this is something where all of us can really benefit, right? Because for us, it's not super hard to do something like this. Yeah? We just have to do it. Yeah? And that was one of our most important learnings. So what we should do as a security community, yeah, to ensure that we can hire the right talents and also retain them, yeah, but also to get them to apply to us. Yeah. I think there are 3 topics we wrote down. Yeah. So the first one, today plus one day, yeah, bottom left, please write in your job description what you really would like to have or what you would like to see. Yeah. And do not just write in something what you see on the market. Yeah? It's often a kind of copy-paste, and it needs time, yeah, to do a good job description. And if you are a manager who approves or kind of publishing a job description or something like this, yeah, please do not approve nonsense. Yeah? Please check it. It's in your responsibility to ensure that, yeah, that the new talents come into the company and that they are happy with their job descriptions, yeah, when they see them. Yeah? So please be critical. That's the point. In 1 month, yeah, You can publish the new job description, yeah. You can also review them for sure, what is out at the moment, yeah. Is this good design? You can discuss with HR or whatever, yeah. But please communicate a clear picture in your job interviews, yeah. Also the development perspective we mentioned. And ask your new joiners, yeah, which you hired 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, how they perceived it, yeah. Were they confident with their job description, or were they just super motivated and had a super big ego where they said, okay, we do not care what is the requirement. Yeah? This is a super essential learning what you can have. And in 3 months, yeah, hire talents based on your requirements, yeah, because I think we all know what is really required. We just have to take our time, yeah, to write it down and to communicate it to the new joiners. And share your impressions, because I don't think that this is a cybersecurity topic. Yeah? I think we can also look into other directions, yeah? IT operations, we can also look whatever, finance, HR. I think it's not a specific cybersecurity topic. And if we are able to implement that, yeah, I think we can also do our best from a company side to conquer the cybersecurity skill gap. For sure, this will not change the situation that tomorrow these 3.4 million skill gap is eliminated. Yeah? This is still there. Yeah? But all of us, yeah, and when we keep this in our room here, yeah, we can hire the best talents, and all the other guys can hire other talents. Yeah? So this was our learning and also our session. Thanks a lot also for the questions. I really appreciate it. If you have questions left, we are here, yeah, now or also later on. Thanks for joining and have a good day.
Gleich noch 2 weitere, wenn wir von ins Q&A-Slide kommen.